Okay, folks, got a part 3 to my scenes and sources on OBS. Well, this one's going to be a little bit more detail on scenes and sources, like adding a camera. Some of the little details. So let's jump into this in a second here. As you can see on the screen, I got Dash of Élan stream starting soon, OBS part 3. And that's basically a scene that you're looking at. And to change that, all I do is hit transition, which I'm going to do. And you're going to see my other scene that I set up previously. And let's see, make sure it's all set up properly. This, of course, will be my display capture. So it captures everything that I'm looking at on my laptop. So it's going to get a little funky. You're going to see that little infinity spectrum before your very eyes. So let's make that transition, and you'll see the change. And there it is. And there you can see the previous window that was displayed before. It's in the left side of the screen. That's a separate scene. I could transition back to it if I want. I'm not gonna. The main scene is the one right in front of you. So let me go back. I call this scene. That's actually what you're seeing. This is OBS. Just ignore the funky look to it. We want to focus on the bottom area of the screen. That's where all the magic is produced. And in this video, I'm going to talk a little bit more about scenes and sources, specifically how to add a scene and name it, and then add sources to it. And we'll look at some of the various sources you can add. I covered this a little bit before in the previous parts, but I'm going to try and be a little bit more detailed and actually demonstrate some of it for you. Now, if you go to your scenes, which is on the left, and by the way, the scenes and sources, this is like the backbone of OBS. This is where you set up what the viewers will see, whether you're doing a live stream or whether you're recording a video. This is where you set it all up. Now, scenes, of course, are names that you give specific setups for the viewer to see. Now, I have a couple here already. I have one called Scene, and it's made up of a Windows capture and a display capture. The Windows capture is currently invisible. You can't see it. That's this little eyeball. It's all grayed out here. But what you're looking at now is the display capture, that funky looking screen in front of you. And that is visible. That's this little eyeball flashing here, or all white. So you can make these things visible or invisible. Now that's what it is when I make it invisible and you can't see it. It goes to a black screen. The viewer will be seeing nothing. If I make it visible, boom, there it is. Back to Funky Town. Anyway, that's this scene. The other scene, of course, is Introduction. That's what I started the live stream with. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to add a brand new scene. Now, when you set up your OBS and you're ready to go, the first thing you want to do is set up a scene. So let's click the plus button. And by the way, there are alternative ways of adding scenes and sources, but the most convenient are this little plus and this little minus sign. The plus being add, and the minus sign being remove a scene. In other words, delete it from your setup. We're going to add one here. So let's click the add, and if you look up here in the middle of the screen in front of all the funky stuff, this little box right here is what we're looking at. Let's move it down a little bit closer to the bottom area. Please enter the name of the scene. You can literally name your scene. We're going to call this, let's call it main scene. This is the main one. This is what it's going to make it easier to locate amongst your scenes. If you have a lot of scenes in this setup, you might want to be very specific with the name of it so you can easily find it if you have more than one. But this is called the main scene. This is where you're going to do most of your video recording or live streaming. So we're going to call it main scene. Then we're going to hit OK. And there it is. It automatically clicks on it and defaults to it for the well, not for the viewer. I'm still in the other one. Let's transition to that and show you what it looks like. It'll be all black because this is what the viewer will see on the right. So there's nothing there. Okay, now the next thing you want to do to your main scene here is you want to start adding. Let's go back to scenes so you can see what we're talking about here. Yeah, the next thing you want to do is you want to start adding sources. That's over here in this little boxed area next to scenes to your main scene. And you do that, make sure you're clicked on main scene and click on the plus button. This is where you add scenes, and the minus is get rid of sources, I should say, not scenes. This is where you add sources and delete sources. There's none here currently, so let's add a source. Now, I showed you guys this a little bit before. You've got VLC video sources, which are a different format of video audios. You can basically add a video if you wanted. Let's try and do an image. Okay, let's say we want to put a picture in this scene. So we're going to click image. You probably use this a lot. And here, if you look under this bottom area here, there's an option to click add existing. In other words, if you use the picture in this scene somewhere else in a different scene, you can just click on it and click on the image here. In other words, if it's already in one of the scenes elsewhere in this setup, you could just click it and it will add it. Or if it's not, you could just add a brand new image, and that's what we're going to do. Let's see. We're going to call this intro banner, for lack of a better term. Okay, so we're going to add that. Now, what it's going to do now is it's going to go to my desktop, and it's going to go to my images directory, and I'm going to be able to find a picture. Okay, so we're going to click OK. And it's nothing there at the moment, so we're going to click Browse. This is where it goes to your laptop. Let's go to this directory here. Let's choose Dash of Élan, OBS recordings, battle vlog, wherever you keep your pictures. Let's choose this one. Got to find a picture. All right, let's go into this folder. Wherever you keep your pictures, that's where you want to go. I'm not prepared for this, unfortunately, so I got to go through some searching here. All right, so for our intro banner, let's add one of these pictures. Let's add this little battle scene here. There's a nice picture, and it'll show the picture here if that's what the one you want. Yes, which it is. We're going to click OK. And by default, the way I have it set up, and it should be for you too, it'll show up here locked into this little corner position. Well, not really locked. This is where it shows up. You can move this around anywhere you want. And you could also resize it. You just grab hold of one of these little dots, like on the corner or on the side, and there you go. You can go to town. Now, let's say we want this to fill the whole screen. Now again, the left side of the screen over here, this is your before picture. This is what the viewer is going to see. They don't see this. They only see what's on this side, over on the right. let's make it as big as possible. See the picture's a little bit out of size, which is fine. You can leave it that way. We want to make sure we cover the entire back. But again, there is a little trick. If you hold down the Alt key while using your mouse button to grab these little circles and move them, you can basically cut the image, basically shrink it without actually resizing the image. All right, it'll be easier to, so it'll look like that. So that looks pretty good to me. Now, once it's in place, let's say this is the backdrop to our scene. This is going to be the background. Once that's in place and you're happy with it, we want to come down here under sources for this very specific source, the icon or the intro banner it's called. We want to lock it in place so we don't accidentally move it. So that's what this, if you come down here next to it, next to the eyeball, there is a little lock. Click that and it'll go white to show it's activated. That means it's locked in place. If you look up at the top at the picture itself, it no longer has that little perimeter around it. You can't click on it. You can't move it. So it's locked into place. And to unlock it, you just click that little lock symbol again, and there you go. Boom, you can move it around again. So that's basically how that works. And you can also make it invisible. Again, that's the little eyeball. Click it, boom. Nobody can see it. We want people to see it, so we're going to click that. All right, so there you go. It's locked in place. People will see it when I transition. And there it is. That's going to be our little background. Now, we want to add something else to this scene. We're going to have this intro banner. Let's also add some text. Okay, we're going to write on this. So we come up to add, go through our little menu here. Text. There you go. Click text because we're going to add text. And we're going to call this intro. Or no, not intro. Let's call it something like title. Maybe you want this to be the title that's going to be in the background over top of this scene. All right. We're going to add that. You're going to get this little menu pop up here. Here we go. You can select fonts. As you can see right here, select font. Let's type something first. Let's do the Battle of Brandywine. That looks good. And let's see, we want the font. Let's click whatever font you want. It'll kind of just show you the different types of fonts in here down here. We're going to keep it at Arial. Let's keep that the way it is. One thing I do want to do is change the color. Select the color. Well, that's the background color. I don't want a background color. Select color. We want to make it, let's say a red. No, let's make it a black or a dark blue. And yeah, we're going to take that. So that's what it looks like. And all right, so it's going to be black. We're not going to put an outline on it, but we are going to center the text. So for alignment, instead of it going to the left, we're going to center it. So it looks like that. Okay. Hit OK, and there your text is added. You can find it up here by default. And we're going to enlarge it. Again, grab hold of these little circles, make it big. That looks good to me. We're going to put it right, let's see, right there. Resize it. And that's fine. Looks good there. It could be a little bit brighter, but that's all right. We're going to keep that. You just fiddle with your font choices. Maybe give it an outline of red or something, or blue, or change the color entirely, and so on. But we're going to keep it like that. And we're going to lock it in place. Boom. Now let's say let's see. What else can we add to this? Another image? A scene, more text. Could actually add my camera, and I should probably show that. Let me get my camera set up here. I wasn't ready for that. This will be my webcam. It's not the best quality, but it'll show you how it works. So let's see. Let's add a video capture device. This is what you click if you want to add a camera to this scene. Let's say we want to add a little camera of our face somewhere in this scene. All right, let's go and find video capture device. Boom. And again, we get this little window that pops up asking us what we want to call it. We're going to call it webcam. Now, if you had another external camera like a Logitech C922, you can add that. You can actually type in C922 to help you identify it if you have more than one camera added to a scene, which I often do, like with my paint and chats or my battle reports. I'll have multiple cameras going. You might want to name them different. Okay, we're going to add that. And there it is in all my glory. Now, obviously, this doesn't look the best. So you got all these little choices here. Don't worry about all this. As long as the picture shows up, your camera shows up, you're fine. Let's configure the video, though. This is where you change the settings of your camera. Here's the camera's actual name, HD webcam. That's what comes in the laptop. If you have more than one that's hooked up at once, you'll have choices here. Okay, so let's configure the video. Click configure. You get this little box. This is where you can change all kinds of things. Normally, I recommend you disable everything that is already clicked. For example, exposure, very important. I'm going to click that, and I'm going to manually do it. And we're going to change the exposure settings. Looks like the focus is out of whack as well. But as you do, as I increase the exposure here, go into the negative zone to get better light, it gets very laggy, unfortunately. I should have had my other camera set up. So you know what? Let's go to auto, and we'll keep it that way. And we'll apply. And OK. So there's a camera. I'm happy with the settings. And this is what you could change these settings as well later. Hit OK. And there it is in your scene. It's obviously too big. Now, usually you got a lot of space that's empty on the sides of your picture. So more often than not, you're going to want to shrink this down. Again, we're going to use our little trick of holding down the Alt key while moving these. So we're literally cutting it without changing the size of the image. So that's a really nifty trick. You hold that Alt key while you're doing this, and you'll be able to do that. Now you can move it. You can also resize it. And to resize it, you don't actually hold the Alt key. That's just to cut the picture, shrink it without changing the size. So let's be happy with that. We're going to put ourselves down here in the corner, and there we are in all our glory. Boy, I look absolutely horrible. Yes, folks, I just climbed out of bed making this live stream. Forgive me. But anyway, there I am. I've added a picture. I've got some text. I've got a video camera in place. And as before, I'm happy with this. So let's lock the camera in place as well. And there we go. There's your scene. When you're ready to show that to the audience, you just click transition. So let's do that. Let's click transition. Boom. There it is. That's what they're seeing. So fantastic. Now let's get back to this whole thing. Okay, there we are once again back in our funky town. Again, we're still working on main scene, so that's on the left side of your view here. So we've added a webcam, a title, intro banner, and so on. What else can I do here? Now, here's one thing I do want to mention. The order that these are listed in here is also, they're basically like layers. So whatever's on the top, whatever the top source is, that will show over top of what's under it, and so on. Now, for instance, the intro banner, if you remember, that's the picture. This big battle scene that we first added, that's on the bottom. The title will be on top of that. That's this text. I added that second. So that shows up on top of the picture. And finally, I added a webcam, which is on top of everything. Everything that's under it will literally be under it. For example, let me show you this. Let me unlock the position of the camera so I could movement. See how I'm over top of the picture? I'm also over top of the text as well. See? Which isn't necessarily something I want. Now, you could move the position of your sources if you want. Let's say I want the webcam underneath the title. What you do is you click on it, click on the source, and then hit these arrows. These arrows is where you move it up and down. I want to move it down. So boom. It's now down in the list. Title is above it. So now if I move this up here, you'll see that the text is over top of the picture. See that? So they're like layers or levels of layers. And you can change these around. Now, obviously, if I put the webcam at the bottom, you won't see it because it's underneath the big giant picture, the battle scene. So we want to move it back up above the picture, and it doesn't have to be above the text because I don't want it there anyway, but we can keep it there. So you can change the order of these. So if you add a picture and find that suddenly you can't find it in your scene and you're looking for it, it's probably under something. It's probably hidden under something. And it's easy to find if you realize that everything on the top of this list is on top of whatever is underneath it. So title is on top of webcam, and it's also on top of intro banner. Okay, and you could change the order where they appear by just clicking on them and hitting these arrows. Like if I put the intro banner all the way to the top, suddenly it's over top of the text and the camera. You can't see them, so we don't want that. So let's put it under the title, and we'll also put it under the webcam. There you go. That's our big picture. So there you go, folks. That's how you add a cam, add text, and add images. And when you're ready, just click transition. That's it. So there you go. And I should mention that you can also switch between scenes. Well, that's basically what we're doing. We're switching between the scene. You not only can switch between scenes, like if I wanted to go from my intro to my main scene, I'd set it up like this, make sure this is in the before side, and click transition. Or I could change things within the scene and transition that change. Like let's say this is, let's transition. Well, not yet, you'll only see this. Let's say I have it set up like this. The viewer is seeing it just the way it's laid out. Okay, let me transition. Let's say this is what you guys are seeing, which it is. That's what it's set up. Now let's say I'm looking at this scene and I'm saying, you know what? I don't like the size of that picture where I'm talking. And I'm going to resize that. All right? So let's go back to our scene here. Let me transition. Let's go back to this. So in your before area on the left of the screen mode here, you want to change some things. So let's resize our webcam. You got to click on it. You got to make sure it's unlocked so you can move it and resize it. And let's move this. Now you see the audience doesn't see what you're doing now. This is only happening on the left side, the before side of the screen. So I'm going to resize this to that size. Now I'm happy with that. Now I'm going to transition to this. And by doing so, this all of a sudden appears. This will transition to this scene. So before the picture was big, I made a little change, I transitioned, and now all of a sudden the audience is seeing this. They never see you actually working on your stuff. They only see what you transition to. Okay? All right, let's get back to the scene so you guys can see what I'm doing. So I hope you follow along with that. I hope I described that. But your transition, you can transition your scenes, or you can transition changes that you make within a scene, like I did there by changing the image. So I don't know if I want to go any further with this. I hope this helps you guys. Leave me some comments about it if it's helping. This is useful if you want to make some videos or live stream, if you're a war gamer and want to know how to use something like OBS to do that. I hope this will help, and I hope in the future I'll make some video episodes that actually show me making some video, wargaming related videos. Show that off to you. What else could I do here, if anything? Windows capture is where you capture a specific browser window, or window, whatever you want to show, whether it's browser or whether it's a program you have running. Yeah. One little cool trick here is makes it easy to find things. You right-click on one of these sources here, like webcam. There's an option to change its color. It makes it easier to find. Let's make it red. There we go. So when you got a lot of sources in a scene, you could change their colors so they're easy to find. Sometimes that's very useful. I know I have some scenes that just have a ton of sources added to them, and it's useful if you color code them, for instance. So, is there anything else to show here? No, nothing right now. Yeah, so there you go, folks. I hope that helps. If there's a specific type of source you'd like me to get into to show you how to add, leave me a question about that and I'll make a video on that so you can take care of that problem. And we'll get to that. So I hope you enjoyed. This will be live on YouTube as well as a video. It's not being broadcast live at the moment, but you'll be able to watch it from there. Let me know what you think, folks. And until next time, I will see you guys later. Take care. I'm going to hit a scene here. I don't know what it'll be. Probably not. Oh, yeah, I have one here. As a matter of fact, let me show you this before I go out. Now, what I want to do is I want to set up a goodbye screen. I don't have a scene set up for this. But what I do have, I have a scene here called intro. But if you look at the sources that are in the intro scene, one of them is this, I think it's a text. Let me click it and see. Yeah, it's text. And here it is all ready to go. It's a thanks for watching. So watch what I do here. Right now it's not showing. It's not actually in the display anyway yet. What you guys will see is on the left. This on the right is what you're seeing right now. When I transition to this, you'll only see this. Now, again, let's get back down to sources here for this scene. I have a source here called by, and it's basically a text. And let's make it visible. And, well, let's make it invisible yet. I got other stuff on here. Let's make some other things invisible. I got music. That's an added source. I've got some text here. Let's see what that is. That's stream starting soon. That's locked in place. This text right here, we're going to make that invisible, so it won't show. And instead, I have some other text up here, which I'm going to make visible. It's called by. And this is what it says. It's locked in position. So let me unlock that so I can move it and reposition it. Boom. There it is. Then we'll lock that. And that's what I would use if I was going to say goodbye and end the stream. And it just says thanks for watching at the end. So I'm happy with that. There's some music that will play. That's a music source. As you can see, you can add music to your scenes. I'll show you how to do that in the future. It's a add media source is what it's called. And it's right here, media source. Could also be a VLC if it's a video or music. But you'd click media source and you'd choose from your laptop music file. You just choose it, and that's all I did here. That's all that is. It's important to note that if for something to play or for something to be viewed, it has to be not invisible. So we want to make sure that it's actually clicked white and the eyeball is showing. And everything else that you don't want to see in the scene is clicked as gray. It's not being able to see it. So this is fine. This is what I want people to see. So we're ready to transition to this. So with this set up, I will say take care, folks. And I'll see everybody real soon. We got a paint and chat. Let's see, Friday. Next paint and chat is Friday at noon Eastern Standard Time. If you want to paint some miniatures and have some good hobby chat, join me. Until then, folks, let's make that transition. And there we go. Take care, folks. I'll see you all soon.